Hello beautiful people, welcome to another video. It's a bit unexpected that I'm doing this today, but I have been called to do it because this is I want to describe what is a big thing for people that are on their spiritual journey, sensitives in particular. Kind-hearted people, that's who I'm talking to, who have been in the past put through many sort of trials and tribulations in terms of being put through events in their lives where they have been spoken to in a way and treated in a way in which they would never in a million wild dreams speak to another person that way or do treat another person that way. So I'm talking to people who have really been confronted with behaviours from other people over the years, maybe for you it's recently, whereby you felt you didn't have any control, you're just in shock at how you're being spoken to. At different times we have it in us to defend ourselves on the spot to the best of our abilities at the time, but I'm talking about those times where you really just did not have the word, and this is the whole point of the video, the words that you would have today, or the gumption to handle it the way you would handle it today. And I want to explain what I'm talking about. So I'm talking to people who, like, you wake up in the morning or an afternoon energy hits you, whenever it is, but I think often it can be in the morning where Source, the divine, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call this source of all life and creativity, confronts us with, and you don't have any choice but to revisit, look at the events of the past, the shocking treatment that we've received, the shocking ways in which we've been spoken to in the past by whomever. You're forced to revisit that, and you can't escape it. There's no distracting yourself from it. There's no pushing it down or aside. There's only what you can see right before your eyes and what you feel, and that is an overwhelming sensation of memories of looking back at times where you were, publicly humiliated by strangers, friends of friends, or where you were playing a major role in the support of other people that you cared for, and they absolutely disrespected you in the process, where those closest to you have treated you with disregard, and so you've put boundaries up at the time, and then were absolutely attacked by those closest to you, who are other members maybe of your family or friendship group, or work, or this could be in the workplace, where you've been absolutely criticised for defending yourself, or for putting subtle boundaries in place where you're able to protect yourself or seek justice. And there's situations where you're absolutely treated in a disgusting manner, and you're spoken to often publicly or within group setting of whether it's family, workplace, friendship, and you are being dealt with that again today. Like you're getting those memories, those feelings thrust up in your face by spirit, by the divine. And these are things that you've spoken about, you've processed, you've believed you've healed on. And yet they're so strong, they're coming up so strong. Spirit wants you to know this is part of a crucial step, really, in our spiritual evolution, is to be forced to look back, and not just look back over our shoulders, but actually turn back, and it's not us actively doing it. They do it to us. The divine does it to us when we're deemed ready for it. Does that make sense? I'm not here telling anyone to look at the past and dwell on it. I'm talking about a situation where you wake up in the morning or you get hit at some stage of your day or night with memories, these painful memories from the past, where you were treated with absolute disrespect by people who had no right to do so, where you were treated in a way that you would never treat anybody else. And you're left with these memories, and there's anger, there's, you're kind of forced, because the emotions come up, you're kind of forced in that moment to look at, how would I deal with that today? Did I have my own back? Did I defend myself? Did I do it adequately? Why did I step away? It's not about self-criticism, but we're being forced to look at how we dealt with the situation at the time, or how we didn't deal with the situation at the time. And then we're faced with, the question comes soon after that of, how would I deal with that today? And there's a vast difference. But you're also looking at, you also get to look at, to observe your memory of the people that were around you while this was happening to you, and how did they respond? And usually they don't respond at all. Situations where nobody comes to your defense. I don't want to get too specific with the situations, because it's like, even in my life, it's been so random, it's been so many things that have been quite big events, major red flags in terms of the people that were around me at the time, and I just dealt with it as best I could at the time. And then, you move on, you grow up, you heal, you process that, you talk about it, you write about it, you do whatever you need to do. It's all been just part of your experience. It brings you to the amazing person you are today. That's awesome. But I'm talking about when Source brings it all up in your face again and says, now with your new lens of who you are today, let's have a look at this. Let's feel this again. Let's take another look at these specific pivotal, and they may not have even felt pivotal, and you may struggle to see that they were pivotal moments in your life. They were just painful. Some of them were. It's easy to see that they had an effect on you, an everlasting effect on you, in terms of your strength. And others will just feel like, oh, that was just a nasty situation. Nobody stood up for me, or whatever. Because it's some random person that you're meeting through somebody else, a friend of a friend, at a house party, and they choose to confront you in front of everybody else in a very nasty way about things that do not concern them. what Spirit was telling me to say was the people that feel that their egos are emboldened enough to be able to come forward and speak to or treat a sensitive like that, are not people who will then ever see or ever respond maturely to you trying to get them to see how disrespectful that was. I'm not making myself clear. In some of those instances, you might have felt the need to explain to this person, or at least the people around them, how unfair that was in your search of justice, or how disrespectful it was, or, who is this person talking to me this way? Or if it's someone that you know, how is it that you can speak to me this way when you know I've done this, and that to you, and you know who I am, and you know I would never treat you this way? What gives you the power in your mind to then treat me in a manner that's just so hurtful? And in those attempts to seek some kind of justice or fairness in a situation, you're dealing with people who just don't have the capacity to be able to reflect or show any remorse, or any genuine remorse, and you're not seeking an apology per se, you're seeking to be understood. So you think, instead of getting angry in those moments, what you were doing is you were going, oh, this person must be misunderstanding who I am, what my motives are, what my actions, represent. They mustn't be seeing who I am if they feel that it's appropriate to speak to me this way or treat me this way. So I must let them know who I am. I must show them what my intent is. And so you then step forward with an open heart and say, I don't understand why you're talking to me that way when this is who I am, this is my intent, this is why I do what I do. And they don't care for that. They do not care for that. People who, as I said, feel emboldened enough in their ego to be able to treat anyone like that, let alone a stranger, especially someone who they know has been of service to them, has shown them nothing but kindness, blah, blah, blah. If they've still then got the ability to come in on the attack, they don't need to see who you are. They're not going to see who you are. If they don't already by your actions in the past, or by the people you surround yourself with, or whatever it is, they're not going to suddenly understand, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't deserve to be spoken to that way. You're this beautiful, kind person. And they don't care. That's why they said it in the first place. So Spirit wants us to understand, and this is because it's come up in me, and they've said do a video because there are others. They want us to understand why this happens, because it feels like we've been picked up. Say if it happens in the morning when you wake up, it's like during the night you got gently picked up and put into a deep, the deepest of oceans, and you wake up and you're floating in this ocean, and the water represents emotion, but it represents spiritual energy, and we're feeling like we could drown here. There's no land. There's nothing for me to hold on to. My feet can't touch the ground because the ocean floor is, hundreds of meters below me. I don't have a saviour. No one can save me in this. I'm floating out in the ocean in the dark, and it's rough. This is overwhelming. And we're being confronted with, like, this happened to you. And you get taken right back into, it's not some faded memory. You get taken back into the experience and you get to relive it, basically. And then they take you back further and you get to relive that too. And they take you back further and you go, oh my goodness, there has been a pattern here. There have been so many times where I have just been treated with such disrespect. And I'm not coming from ego here. It's not about how dare they. It's not about that. It's not about that your ego got bruised. It's that you got in disproportionately, inappropriately, whatever the right words are, treated with absolute disrespect and disregard, and in some cases head on confronted with someone who has no business confronting you with the most shocking opinion of you or of what you're doing with your life, and you're doing nothing but loving people. So when I'm talking about instances where you know you've done absolutely nothing wrong and you're getting attacked and treated badly. And so we relive those, and that's like being in the deep ocean, because it's like, oh my goodness, like this is overwhelming. Why am I feeling this again? There's a feeling of despair that comes in. But what this process actually does is it reminds us of who we are today compared to where we were at then. And it's not in criticism of how we handled it back then. Do not let your mind go there. It's not in, oh, geez, I didn't have my back. Oh, my partner didn't have my back. Oh, my friend was smiling in the background. I saw them. Notice those things, whatever. But it's actually not about the criticism of where you were at or anyone around you. It's not even the criticism of the person who did it to you. It's about us revisiting it, re-feeling it, feeling it today. And in fact, what happened to me is that it came back, the emotions came up stronger than what they were then. What an amazing experience we have in these bodies. So, and in our interactions with the divine. So it's to get us to see how different we are. So we have gone through tremendous change, mostly through suffering and through pain, and especially recently for the times that we are in. And they're saying the time is right. They observe us and they say, okay, the time's right. He or she's ready to take the next wave. This cleansing, spiritual, energetic wave that's going to rush in and make them feel flooded for a while. And then it's going to take away what it needs to take away. That wave is going to carry away what needs to be taken away, what you're ready to let go of, right? And this is not about you letting go, or forgiving or anything like that. Like, absolutely forgive. Absolutely see people for where they were at the time. You haven't seen them for years. They may be very different people today because of that experience or other experiences like that they've had. Maybe they've gone through periods of remorse. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they're just as bad or if not worse. It doesn't matter. It's not about us judging them where we need to forgive them. But if you feel the need to forgive, because it will help you to be, in touch with your emotions. Absolutely, forgive everyone that needs forgive. That you need to forgive. It's not about hating on them. It's not about judging them. It's none of that stuff. This is not about that. This is literally about we're getting put in a situation where we have to revisit visually. It happens visually for me, and then the emotions come. Other people may experience this in different ways. But they just want you to understand it, that it means that you've reached a certain level or a certain point in your journey where they deem us ready to cop the next wave. And it's harsh. It's harsh because it's almost like we forgot how painful those things were. And then they come up again and you're like, oh my goodness, how did I deal with getting confronted like that? How did I think? And so you did do the best you could do. Maybe it's yourself you need to forgive. But the forgiveness suggests that you're judging yourself in the first place, and let's not do that, right? So when you look at it through today's lens, each of those events, you go, we'll do it this way. No. Initially, you're fueled by your anger or your disgust or your rage or whatever it is, whatever the emotions, the associated emotions are right now. Your how I would deal with it today is fueled by that rage. So, that softens when you keep going back over it. And I'm not suggesting anyone keep going back over anything, but I'm saying, it comes and goes in waves. So when you've calmed down a bit and you've processed, transmuted those emotions and released those emotions, when you get to look at it again with those emotions where they've softened, you then go, okay, I wouldn't quite deal with it that way today, but I would do this. I would make sure this was said. I would make sure that was said. I would question this person. I would speak to that person about it. I know what I would do. And it shows you in that moment there, it shows you, oh goodness, I'm actually on such stable, solid ground right now. Yeah? So we get taken into the deep ocean, metaphysically, so that we can know how stable we are today. I hope that makes sense. So by looking at the past, we're getting shown how stable and strong we are today, because we know exactly how we would deal with it. And when you look at it and there's a little bit of confusion, would I deal with it this way? Would I deal with it that way? You would deal with it, just trust. However, you're equipped to deal with it in that moment, because you can never know how you would feel if the situation was to happen again or in a different way. So it's almost impossible to accurately say, oh, this is what I would do, because you don't know how you would feel in the moment. So let that take a lot of pressure off you mentally. Obviously, I'm an air sign, so I think about these things. But it's all to show us how stable and strong we are today. That today we wouldn't let it happen for 5 seconds. We wouldn't let it happen for 5 minutes, let alone it dragging on for 2 years. We wouldn't self-sacrifice in order to try to keep some semblance of peace. We would say, no, that's not right. And if relationships end there, or friendships end there, or what it's actually about is some patterns of behaviour that were taking place at the time, arrangements that were taking place at the time. I'm deliberately trying to be vague because it's very different for everybody. Had an opportunity in those moments to come to an end, be put to an end, because they didn't serve you. So that group of friends perhaps didn't serve you to actually be around them. They were actually your partner at the time's friends, or you came into your partner at the time's family, and they put on their nicest faces, but they're not. They're actually low level beings, and I don't mean that in any judgmental way, but that's just where they're at, right? And over time, you learn that indeed they can smile as much as they want, but indeed their actions show that these people are not coming from the heart. And then so something's said or something happens and whatever else, and we feel ill-equipped, and we try to do the right thing, and usually that involves us, copping a punch that we don't deserve, and not speaking up about it, or not nipping it in the bud, because we're frightened of creating waves or being judged as a troublemaker or whatever. But who deserves to be treated that way? Nobody. Who do you treat like that? Nobody. That's the message that's coming through, right? With this whole process of revisiting is, that it was wrong for you to be treated that way, because you would never treat anyone like that. So if you were to deal with it as you are today, those friendships would end. You wouldn't be dealing with the in-laws anymore, or you wouldn't be if it puts the relationship under pressure, that under so much pressure, where your actual partner at the time is judging you with the way you handled it, and that's meant to split up as well. Would have all been for your highest good, for those things to end. But what we do as we're traveling along is we do everything we can to not create endings, because we want things to be safe and secure and comfortable. And often what happens is where we keep bending and twisting ourselves and copping punches we don't deserve without speaking up, without dealing with it head on, so that we don't create waves, so we can try to stay in comfort. But it's not us rocking the boat, it's other people literally standing in front of you and saying, I don't like you, basically, and you're going to let me treat you this way, and you can't say anything about it because of who I am, or whatever it is. It's an abuse of power, or because of the setting we're in, you can't do anything about it, whatever. But I can talk to you this way. It's other people literally getting your boat and rocking the crap out of it, and you're doing everything you can to stabilize it, where it was you just need to get off the boat and say, hey, buddy, pull your head in. Pull your head in. And if that means in the process of doing that things come to an end, friendships, partnerships, relationships, whatever, simply because you told someone that you will not tolerate such rubbish treatment or behaviour from anybody, let alone them, then so be it. Those are the consequences of people judging you. If they're judging you today, they're going to judge you tomorrow. If they haven't got your back today, they're not going to have your back tomorrow. Okay? So I don't know about you, but I'd rather know early on in the piece, if this relationship's not going to go anywhere, or, in terms of this person's not going to develop the devotion to have my back when their own friends or family attack me. You know what I'm saying? Then I'd rather separate today. That's just one specific example, but just take the example and replace it by any other example. Okay? So I would rather have the fallouts sooner. The person I am today, I'd rather have the fallouts sooner, and not waste time going down a certain path and investing in a certain path, and keep taking the punches and and all the injustices that people throw at you, and not speak up for myself. I would rather deal with it, and whatever the fallout is the fallout. Whatever the consequences of that is, are the consequences. And I live with that because I will not be treated in a way, I will not be forced to accept to be treated in a way that I would never treat anybody else. There's a reason that you wouldn't treat anybody else that way. Because it's wrong. You have a conscience. You have kindness in your heart. You have so much kindness in your heart that you find it difficult to tell someone, stop doing that, you're hurting me. Or stop doing that, it's inappropriate behaviour, I don't deserve to be treated that way. You keep coming at it with kindness, and sometimes they just need to be told, back off. And told, here are the consequences for what you just did. I hope that makes sense. But in this process, it's very painful. It's to have to revisit, even though we are way more equipped today to deal with these things. It's very painful because we know, when we look back, you can see what our intent is and was and who we were. It's like these events were demonstrations. They were demonstrations of how our innocence, our pure intent, our tolerance, sensitivity and kindness have been seen as weakness. Oh, I can say this to that person, now what are they going to do? Yeah. The kindness helps them to embolden against you. Like you have to be a real abuser of power to find yourself in a situation where this person is so soft and kind that I can definitely embarrass them in front of other people. I can definitely tell them where their place is. I can definitely abuse them. Like how weak are you? Okay? So definitely do not see the people who did this to you as the victors in the situation. Do not. And don't see yourself as a victim either. It's an experience that you've been made to observe at the time, and you're now re-observing through today's lens. And so Spirit's saying, so celebrate. This is all about you seeing the change in you from the past to now. Celebrate, nurture, nourish the new you. Because you're never going to let that happen to you again. You can't control people around you, but you certainly can control how you respond to mistreatment. Yeah? And so celebrate this, that you're not in the deep blue ocean. Celebrate that you do have your feet firmly on the ground today. You are equipped with the tools today to be able to deal with these things. They were experiences that we were meant to have. And if we were as equipped as we are today, we would have nipped it all in the bud and known what to do straight away. And we know exactly what we wouldn't tolerate. We know exactly who we would get away from as fast as possible. We would know exactly who we'd give a piece of our mind to. We know exactly what the consequences would be. that if it was a situation, for example, where you were acting in servitude to support a friend or a group of people because something, and some tragic accident has happened and whatever, and then the thank you is you get used as a scapegoat, or the thank you is you get absolutely discarded and treated like you're no one, and this is what it was, where you felt in these instances that your feelings don't matter, your emotions don't matter, your thoughts don't matter, not even your actions matter, because you don't matter. That's how small you were made to feel in those times. And I can even go back and say, well, I didn't feel small in those times. I just felt mistreated. But when you look at today, from today's lens, you can look back and see, well, I can see the way that I handled it or didn't handle it wasn't for my, it's not what I would do today. I would be much more powerful and succinct in the way that I dealt with that, because by me responding or not responding in the way that I did at the time left me with I came away from that experience carrying the pain that I could have released straight away. So instead of walking away and being able to pat yourself on the back and say, they crossed a boundary, I showed them where it is, you have gone, oh, that's so hurtful. Why are people so mean? And then that gets carried through your life. And as I said, you process it, you deal with it, you talk about it, you whatever, over time, and think you've healed it, and then you get hit with it again because you're being shown how much you've changed and how you'll deal with it today. So celebrate that. I've been told to, at those really vulnerable moments where the emotions come up, look at green leaves. If you've got a plant in your apartment or lots of plants in your home, whatever, it's too cold and wet to go outside, or whatever the situation is, look at them, touch them, feel them, whatever. Just keep looking at the green. Wherever you don't know where to put your eyes and you're feeling upset, sensitive, overwhelmed, vulnerable, look at the green. Look at your plants. Look at the green. If you don't have any in your home and it's too horrible outside to do it, the temperature's not right, or whatever the situation is, or it's in the middle of the night, you're watching this video, look up plants and trees and leaves on your phone or on your computer and just take the green into your eyes. Or if you are able, go outside, go be amongst nature, have a look at, observe nature, take the green in. And if you've got blue skies, take the blue in, look up for aspiration. And take the blue in. Wear blues and greens. They've got me to pull out all the blues and greens in the crystals today. I always say the name of this crystal incorrectly. I think it's Labradorite. It comes from a place in Canada called Labrador, I believe. This crystal here, they want me to talk about it because I don't know if you can see, I don't know what you can see, whether you can see the reflections and stuff. This crystal, when I see big chunks of this in particular, but the colours in the reflections as well, for some reason takes me into deep, dark ocean. The feeling of deep, dark ocean. Not in an unsafe way, but it just does. So they said definitely have them. I've got a couple here, they're very different. I don't know if you can see that. They said definitely have them on the table today because they're going to help with the transition transmutation of the energy. And that's what this is all about. It's transmutation of energy. So let the waves come in and let the waves carry away from you what you no longer need. And what you get left with, it doesn't mean that you'll never have these memories come up again, you know. 20 years could pass and they might come up again. It happens in waves, right? And it's to get us to revisit it and look at it and go, wow, haven't I changed? Wow, haven't I changed? Wow, look at who I am today. And it's not about inflating your ego. The problem is that we almost suffer from our own humility. Yeah? Anyone on a spiritual journey worth their salt is humble as pie. To the point where, and I've done this myself, where I've never wanted to act confidently because I associated confidence or conflated confidence with ego and a lack of humility, lack of being humble. And it's really done me a disservice to do that over the years. I wanted to be so far away from ego, so far away. You know, even to be able to do the cards, you have to put your personality, your mind, your ego aside to be able to read the cards with any true clarity. Otherwise, you're just looking at them dry because you read what they mean in a book. Yeah? And so the problem is that we've been so humble. We are so naturally, it's our natural state is to be humble. And if you're like me, where you, for so many years, have just knocked your confidence down because you like feeling good and feeling confident, it was conflated with having an ego about something, having an ego about your work, or having an ego about how you serve people, or having an ego about an inflated ego about, oh, I'm such a good person, look at everything that I do. Who's thinking like that? No one who's coming from the heart. And you know you're coming from the heart. So one of the main characteristics of that is humility, is being humble. But conflating or associating feeling good about what you do, and being able to give yourself a pat on the back, and being confident about who you are, and being able to have discernment, employ discernment, and have boundaries, because otherwise the treatment is just not right. That should never be conflated with an overinflated ego. And I can tell you that is something that I did. So maybe take a look. Yeah, you see how in this video I've gone just deeper, 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 and that there's always a layer underneath for us to reflect upon, and nurture and nourish ourselves when we look at these things, because they can make us feel vulnerable. So that's an example of what was happening for me. Let me know if you come to the same point of realization within yourself. If it's something different, it's something different for you. But you can see where my mind goes. I always want to see what's under that, what's under that, what's under that. Yeah? Why did I stop myself from shining for so many years? Because I believed I had to be humble in my servitude of humanity and in my servitude of my family and friends and loved ones. I had to remain humble. You don't get to speak up. You don't get to be confident. You don't get to have any fun and have an enjoyable life because you're here to serve. And when you're overwhelmed with your life purpose, you take that so seriously because it comes from inside, not from outside. It can actually prevent you from having any joy, even just within yourself. I'm not talking about joy in the experiences that you have, that too, but even just within yourself, taking your role too seriously. And it's taken me a long time to learn that actually I have the right, just like anybody else, I have the right to take personal liberties, if I'm using the right words, to be able to have some enjoyment, to be able to feel safe, to feel like I can have fun, to feel confident. To take my personal space, what's coming to mind is back in my 20s, sorry to babble on about myself, I hope it's helping somebody. I'm being encouraged to open up. Back in my 20s, I'm talking, this is a few decades ago, my personal space was right in, like I would say that's me, it was like tight. This is as much personal space as I allowed myself. Whereas everybody else can fill a room, yeah? Fill a house, fill a continent, because they allow themselves, they give themselves the permission. This is unconscious, it's not even a conscious decision, but they allow themselves, they take up space energetically. They can swing, they've got room to swing their arms and do whatever they want to do. They feel free. I never did that. I was self-contained, and I'm not here to bother anyone. I'm not here to make any ripples. I'm just here to help. Just want to enjoy what you're enjoying, but I'm just here to help, contribute in a positive way to the situation. And it took me ages, and I had to go through many different experiences which aren't coming to mind right now. But I had to go through many different experiences in order to crack that shell, to get me to understand, hey, you are not a lesser being to anybody else. Just because you have good intent and you are humble doesn't mean that you can't take up, that your energy can't take up space as well, that allows you the freedom to do things that you enjoy, that allows you to employ discernment and have, appropriate boundaries. It's your right to do that. It took me a long time. And then the layer above that was the conflating confidence with ego. Feeling good about what you do with ego. Yeah? So anyway, some food for thought with all of this. Just the main message is, just when you're going through this stuff, just be kind. Be kind to yourself and nurture yourself as if you were somebody else that this was happening to and you were observing it. What would you do for them? Do that for yourself. Make yourself that, that warm cocoa. Go for that gentle walk. Go and sit in nature. Have that bath. Yeah? It's, Spirit said earlier, it's how we respond to our darkest, deepest moments that is a true test. So I'm not talking about when those painful events occurred. I'm talking about when we're on our own and we feel alone, or we feel like we're in despair emotionally, mentally, because of what we're processing. Those moments where you wake up and you feel like you've been overnight dumped in the middle of the ocean and you've just woken up to, oh my God, nobody's here. I'm what am I to do? That's when you're what's the word? Your faith in the divine. That we don't need to see what's coming in the future. We know that so long as we have the right intent and we put one foot in front of the other, and trust that we're going to experience whatever we're meant to experience, and everything happens for us. Even if it feels like a negative experience at the time, it's happening for us, because every experience helps to shave and mold us. So if you keep your faith and trust in the divine, in those darkest times, in the times of despair. Lots of tests, lots of trials, lots of hurdles to jump and things to experience in this journey, isn't there? Right, so I'm going to just do like a 3-card spread, because I've been waffling on for too long now, and I was going to do a before and after spread, and I really don't think it's necessary. Also, if this video if you're still with me and this video hasn't been for you per se, perhaps you've been called to watch it so that when you notice a friend or loved one perhaps going through this, you'll understand what it's about, and you'll be able to listen to them and support them. The problem, Spirit says, is that people feel so alone in their emotions. So I always encourage people to speak. Speak their experiences, speak their heart, and you should do that as well. Maybe this is also about you not being the one who always creates space, and this is particularly for spiritual workers, light workers, whatever we call ourselves. Maybe, as much as we create space for our clients or for people, or people in our lives, to feel safe and free to express, we need to do that for ourselves as well. It shouldn't always be forced by spirit, by the divine, upon us. There shouldn't always have to be divine interventions for us to learn how to love ourselves more and care for ourselves more. We need to look for ways. I think that's the thing moving forward, is we need to look for ways to do that for ourselves. Interesting, huh? Right. Underneath we've got the world. I'm sorry if the light's reflecting. It's not we're in the middle of, or sort of really approaching the darkest day and the darkest night of winter here down in Melbourne, Australia, where I am. And there's not enough light or sunlight coming in through the windows, so I've had to turn lights on. So I apologise for weird reflections and stuff. So we've got the world underneath, the Hermit, Temperance, and the Empress, which, how cool is that? How cool is that? So I'm going to put that right there. So what's coming to mind is the world is your oyster. This journey is about self-empowerment. I don't even want to say self-empowerment. I want to say it's about empowerment. because it's often not anything that we actually do for ourselves that empowers us. It's this spiritual process that we're in. We're in the wave of spiritual energy that just, we're riding that wave. It's all just a process of that it leaves us empowered, right? So I've never said these words with this card before. The world is your oyster. Okay? So absolute empowerment. We're really learning how to deal with various personality types. It's a very limiting term, but you get what I'm saying. People who vibrate at different frequencies, higher and lower. We're really learning how to manage. And when I say manage, I don't mean control. I mean how to deal with and work with the different energies of people. And the boundaries that we need to put in place for us to feel like life is a playground rather than taking our responsibilities so seriously. They are serious responsibilities, but I should say, we're entitled to have fun as well. We're human as well. We are souls as well. And although we may be here in servitude of humanity and the divine, we're also here learning our own lessons and growing ourselves and, processing our own emotions and experiences. So with all of that hard work that we put in to do our shadow work and all the hard work we put in and everything that we kind of endure to be able to be who we are, it's a very different experience for us, isn't it, this life? We need to then seek fun and lightness and lightheartedness and it's not, don't even give yourself permission, just take time to have fun, go and have different experiences and whatever. Lighten up, sweetie, lighten up. Sorry, an AdFab reference there. And I don't say lighten up, sweetie, lighten up in any way that is critical of someone who's feeling heavy and down. We need to go through that in order to come out the other end and be changed. That's the process, right? But when we're not going through the hard stuff, have fun. Have fun, but with your boundaries in place, knowing full well of what kind of energies there are around you. All right? Then you're able to let your hair down. In the past, a period of real... they're saying now, this is not past. This is this period of the Hermit is very much about us bringing our awareness to things that were problematic in the past. This is what I've been talking about today. It's like the feeling that I'm being given here is that the Hermit was walking that way and then on his path, and then he's being told, no, actually, intuitively, actually, no, let's turn around and have a look at that again. Turn around and have a look at that again and shed light on this set of circumstances. How do I feel? What do I need to leave behind? What do I need to, it's no self-criticism. It's not about that. You're not being taken there to be told, let go, you need to let go. It's not about that. Just let the process happen by feeling what you feel and remembering what you remember. And then they're saying, on top of that, don't just do the work, but then celebrate that who you are today is amazing. Yeah? The process of shining light in our darkness, and that the light represents the faith, keeping your faith and keeping that. And faith is not a mental thing for me. It's a very much in the very core of your existence. You have a knowing that you are being guided, guarded, protected, no matter what you experience. That's what I'm talking about. That's your light in the darkest place. By doing that, we're coming to a place where we come out of the deep ocean, we're on shore, and we can see the path leading to more happiness, more stability, more happiness, where we feel safe. And we're going to have fun along the way. And right now, we're tying up loose ends. Right now, we're doing what feels like emotional bookkeeping, which is that come up in the cards, I think, in the last reading. It feels like we're still doing our emotional bookkeeping, processing through our emotions. But actually, we're weighing up our options. Still dealing with emotions, but using the knowledge of that, what we've learned, to weigh up our options and have a think and a feel. This is a pause before going on the path. We're taking pause to be able to assess, reassess, to have a think and a feel for when we're ready to step forward and how we want that to look for ourselves, what we want to experience, what we want to do. And Spirit's saying it almost doesn't matter that you can't see the next pavement, the next part of the pavement in front of you. Just step forward anyway, when you're ready. And we're definitely coming to, or in a place now, I've already started to talk about this card at the end of that one, to be able to give birth to a new project, give birth to newness in our lives. You might find, this is what I was saying earlier, you might find that you're doing things around the house or in your work environment where that broken chair finally gets addressed. Yeah? It's random. The broken chair finally gets addressed. The pile of papers finally gets filed or shredded or whatever needs to happen to them. A piece of furniture at home that just, I bought it at the time because I needed that, but it's not the style that I like. It wasn't then and it's not now, and I've had it for 15, 20 years. And it's still serving a purpose, but I don't like it, and I've never liked it. And I've never gotten rid of it because I don't have anything to replace it. And so guess what, how that works? How that works is, you're never going to get anything to replace it until you get rid of it. Because while there's not a gap there, an object serving a purpose that you need it to serve, you're never going to get the new thing. So you might find yourself kind of, getting almost fed up with yourself on certain things of, that's got to go, this has got to go, that's got to change. This is a perfectly good plant, but I don't like it in that pot. It's not grown the way I wanted it to, or it's whatever the variables were that made me, I've been looking at it for the last 8 months now, going, there would be other plants better served for that position in the house or the office or whatever. And, but I can't get rid of it, Yeah, you can. You can offer it to people, plant it somewhere, put it in another pot elsewhere, and have in that place, in that particular pot, in that particular place, what you want to see. So you might find that you're actually dealing with things in your home or in the workplace or or out in the world where you are just dealing with things that you just haven't dealt with. You haven't given yourself permission to deal with in the past. So you get rid of that piece of furniture, you pass it on to someone who wants it, and then there's a space there. And then you can have the fun of going and searching for or being open to when you're out and about, coming across the piece of furniture that you do love today that serves a purpose and will be awesome in that spot. You'll never go and do that while you're holding on to the old furniture that you've never liked. Does that make sense? You cannot keep going and buying clothes and stuffing them into full drawers and full closets. You have to, at some stage, go through and reassess and get rid of the ones that don't serve who you are today or where you want to move forward, who you want to become, whatever the words are. You get what I'm saying? So that what I'm describing is a symptom of our change and growth. Yeah? That it's a symptom of operating on a higher frequency when we want to actually deal with things where energy is blocked, where we just have not given ourselves the permission or the time or whatever. And what Spirit said to me earlier was, these things might come to mind at what seems like the most inconvenient time, where you either don't have the time, or you're overwhelmed with emotion, or you're busy, too busy, or you're just, I'm not in a headspace to do that. I know I want to do it, I've got to finally do it, but it's like at the most inconvenient time, or I need to do this work outside and it's drizzling with rain, it's freezing. Their message this morning was, do it anyway. Because that's when the cost seems the highest. If that so when what you have to do to achieve it is the toughest, as in you've got to go out into the freezing cold, or you need to get yourself into the right headspace to do it, the reward will feel the greatest, will feel greater. I hope that makes sense. And by doing these things, moving that piece of furniture, going through those piles of papers, planting those plants you need to plant, shifting those things, doing whatever, whenever you do that, you're changing the way energy flows in your home, in your office space, in your property, whatever, in your life is the point. You're changing the ways that energy flows through your life when you address these things that don't seem to matter. They actually matter. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because I don't know how long this has been going on for, and I don't want it to be too long a video, but I hope that all makes sense. Please be kind to yourself. Be as kind to yourself as you are to others. Can I set you that task? Because that's the thing. We're so kind out there in the world, and we are so humble and let people, yes, sure, go ahead. You can go before me, no problem. Here, can I help you with that? No problem. But we don't do that for ourselves. And it is time to be feeling good. It's time to be feeling like, let me take stock of my resources, and what can I use for this, and what can I use for that? Yeah? Who can I talk to learn more about this so I can make this decision and move in that direction? That, and it's about you and what you need. Make sure you're doing as much, making your life as much about you and what you need as you do about others and for others. Balance, right? Okay, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I hope this has helped someone. Please pass it on. Please like, subscribe, comment. I'd really like to know how these things affect you, or what your thoughts and feelings are. on these topics. And I wish you all the best, and I shall see you next time.